Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Curious Chronicles podcast. Today's episode is part 2 of our panel discussion on International Women's Day. Joining us are two incredible women who I have had the pleasure of working with and who embody the spirit of leadership and compassion. First up, we have got Bal, known for her exceptional leadership and her commitment to fostering an inclusive and supporting work environment. She's also the one who makes sure that we are always on time and have good food after our offsites. Bal, I'm super glad you could join us. Alongside her, we have Heena, whose work in UX has not only advanced our company's mission, but also made a significant impact in the community. Heena, it's an honor to have you with us. Welcome to the show. Welcome, Bal. Welcome, Heena.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So before we start, as we have the custom, so introduce our guests so they can introduce themselves to our listeners. So I would like to go with you, Bal, first. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am a British Asian woman in her 50s. I have two grown-up children. I work in the corporate industry, and also I have a small business.
Thank you, Bal. Thank you, Bal. Heena, please, if you would like to introduce.
Hi, I'm Heena. I'm a mum of two. I am part of the queer community. I have a full-time job, and I also have a business.
Thank you, Heena. Thank you very much, Bal, as well. So obviously this theme of this panel discussion is International Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to hear from you both. How does it resonate with you both?
For me, it's a celebration of women across the world, but it also helps to raise awareness of women in general, some of our challenges that we encounter on a daily basis. So for me, it's both of those things: a celebration and a lot of awareness as well.
Thank you, Bal.
I totally agree. So yeah, when you're asked to think about it, you just think it's another day. But as the day looms, you get two sides to it. I feel, and the way it surfaces is in so many different special ways. Like, I don't know about you, Bal, but do you realize? Like, have you noticed, like, year after year, you start to get more and more text messages saying "Happy International Women's Day," and it's like a special day. It's a real feeling of celebration, and I think the more kind of exposure it's getting, the more messages I start to receive, and it's just a great feeling. But at the other end of the scale, you do feel this kind of as a female working in a corporate environment, you do feel a kind of pressure, a kind of weight as to, like, oh my God, so much change still needs to happen, and what am I going to do on this day to make it count? How can I contribute? So there's like this kind of heavy workload which looms towards it, where you're like, oh, what shall I do to make a difference? But also it feels really, really special. The celebration side of it is it's a great feeling. It's a real sense of community.
Yeah. And because I see you both at work as well, so, and, we always talk about the woman. Who is the woman that inspires you and why?
That's an easy one for me. And Hina knows I've got a girl crush on this lady. Actually, I've got two. One is Anita Rani,
Mm-hmm.
who is, again, a British Asian, so many parallels. And what I love about her is the fact that she hasn't lost her roots, so she still holds on to them, being from a Punjabi background, but she's becoming more mainstream. And she's quite badass as well, which I love. I love her, how she's just bold in everything she does. So she's a real inspiration for me. And the other one is Lily Singh, who's Canadian, and in the entertainment area. And again, I think it's just the fact that she's obviously of Asian background, and she's quite ballsy, and maybe I just like women with attitude, but them two both definitely inspire me.
What about you, Hina? Especially as
No,
a
that's
mom of two as well. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great. Those are great answers. Yeah, there's been loads of women in my personal business. You know, there's been lots of women who have inspired both myself and my partner Ash. You know, who have really led the way. In hospitality and women and and chefs and that sort of thing. And there's actually quite too many to mention. Lots of real influential people in the design world and when it comes to user experience. And when I think about this question, there's only one person that really comes to mind consistently for me, and that's my grandma, who's not around anymore. I find that as I kind of grow, they say, like, as you grow older, you're just trying to become yourself again. I don't know, there's probably a better way of putting it, but and as I am growing older and trying to become myself again in so many ways, I always think of I have these visions, and I think I've spoken to you about it before, Rohit, where I always just think of my grandma.
Yeah.
And there's just moments where I'll be in I'll just be going through something and I'll have visions. And I think there was this one vision that always comes to me in a moment, and it's I described it to you, where it's like I'm in Virginia Water, which is this, like one of the royal parks, and there's a big lake, and I'm a kid, and I'm skipping stones. And I remember my grandma, who was she was very strict and very firm, but very spiritual at the same time. I remember, like, in the mornings, like seeing her meditate and those sorts of things, and being very particular about the space around her. Her things would go in a certain place and that sort of thing. And I remember one day I was skipping stones, and we were in Virginia Waters, and she told me off, and she was like, that don't do that. She was like, it's nature. Just let it be. Like, you don't have to interrupt it. And I thought of you, Ray, because I remember, like, some of the I've had some sessions with you which have just been so amazing. And I remember there was this moment where I was talking to you about it, and there was this meaning that we put together about acceptance. Just about acceptance instead of expecting things. And I think actually that lesson that my grandma taught me was to accept. Just accept what's around you. Like, don't. So I have to say my grandma in so many ways, so many ways.
Yeah, very inspiring, Hina. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned now, acceptance and not expectations. How would you see the challenges we have seen in the previous years and now, 10 years down or 20 years earlier, and then now? What are the challenges you have faced as a woman, especially with two moms in a household with kids? And how did you, what kind of, any challenges you can share?
Yeah. So there's so many. As two mums, it's as a female household, there's so many challenges, because you've got this one side where you're trying to um, represent to the world, what you're about as a female, and then as two females together, and you're trying to bring up children. So I have a boy and a girl, and they're young children, and to teach them how to navigate around the world, and how to bring their best out. Because when you're a mum of a boy, and I know Bal can relate to this, you want them to be good men that respect women, and and take that story to the next level. And then as a mum of a daughter, you want her not to be restricted, or stop to be the person that she is, and wants to be. So the challenges are on the daily. I had, I don't know if you have had this, but even on International Women's Day, I had my son who's 6 years old ask what if there was a International Boys' Day or International Man's Day, and
Every
I didn't
day.
know where to begin. So many challenges. I could waffle on, but I think as a female, when you're younger, you feel those challenges less, and you don't know that the foundations that you're building are leading towards this kind of step when you're older, where you reflect and you look back and you actually notice that those challenges and barriers that you didn't see were actually massive barriers and massive challenges, and if it's a real learning experience, that you look back. Or do you find that, Bao, like when you were younger, like it seemed easier?
I think we just got on with stuff. We were less aware, but I think as you get older, and particularly if you're a mom, if you work
Yeah,
in work or if small business, whatever, I think you just get more responsible, more responsibility,
yeah,
and then with that comes that whole extra challenges. And I see the challenges kind of being even a woman at home. We're kind of expected to hold down a job, to do all the housework, to do everything, and I see women as sometimes as being the glue.
yeah,
um and really interesting, I said that to someone once. I'm just like the glue, and they're like, yeah, but nobody sees the glue. And I was like, yeah, nobody sees the glue. I don't want to be the glue, but we are the glue. We're kind of. I feel like we kind of hold it all together. And just coming back to your earlier point, and when you said your grandma about being the inspirational woman, actually, my mum still inspires me. My mum is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
she's
I've
in her
heard you say that
twenties.
before.
She acts like she's in her 20s. She's got so much energy. I'm like, mum, slow down. But it's about running the household, keeping it all together, having an element of, dare I say, control, and because we're just the glue, just the glue. Glue's important.
Yeah,
But yeah, the challenges, I think as you get older, you're more aware of them, and I think for me within the corporate world, I mean, it frustrates me so much. It's like barrier after barrier after, and you know what? Then it starts to feel like a fight and a battle, and that's draining. And it's like every day, it shouldn't be
hmm
like a fight and battle. But because I feel so strongly about some stuff, it's like, no, I'm gonna fight for this. But I shouldn't have to fight for stuff. It's like, why do I have to fight? It's not a battle. But it's a shame that we feel that way. I certainly feel that way.
yeah, yeah. It does. I think we have to be so many things. Um, and I think that is, we have to be so many things, and we have to be excellent at all of those things. And quite often we have to be all of those things all at once. And the expectations are, you know, the, the expectations are super high on women. Did you see? Sorry, did you see that quote by Lily Allen? Yes, was it yesterday or the day
About
before? I haven't
children
exactly.
having not being able to have children and have a
Yeah,
career.
so she said, yeah, so she had this amazing, she was like, she could, she's basically saying that her career was, stifled by the fact that she had children. But she said it in a very joking way, because obviously, like, she's not going to regret having children and having that, amazing experience. But it's such a challenge, where unfortunately it's so true. Women do have to choose, where they're going to be excellent at any given moment in time, because they can't do it all. And I also feel like women do it to each other, like, and is that all right for me to say? Because there's this kind of, I don't know if you've ever heard it, but like, if you're talking about your career to your career friends and that sort of thing, they'll say, um, oh, it's okay because you've got other priorities at the moment. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can do. Like you can't be excellent at, you know, your design area anymore, because, you know, you're a mum, and, you know, you've got other priorities. And I feel like, you know, you know, especially like when I've hired designers, and then they're a parent, they're a business owner, or they do something else. I'm like, excellent, you know, brilliant, because you're going to bring more to the table. Whereas I do find, um, that there are some people, you know, that I've come across that are the opposite. They're like, oh, you're a business owner. Oh, you're a you're a mum, so you'll only bring half of yourself to the table. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, I do feel like on one level there's an expectation for you to be brilliant at everything, but on another there's that, like, you know, there's only so much you'll be able to bring. So, you know, we'll just give you this little space, and you can be excellent at that. So women can be the worst challengers, for other women, unfortunately. And I think that's because they themselves, from an empathy perspective, they felt the same pressures. I don't know. But I just thought I'd bring that to the table.
No, I mean, what a shame, and what a really good point, actually, because we talk about men being allies, etc. You know, and I've obviously a mum of two boys, so I need to educate the boys about respecting women and all that good stuff. But you'd expect women to have your back, right? It's like, come on, where's the sisterhood here?
Yeah.
And when that doesn't happen, that's so disappointing. I think that's so disappointing. Yeah, but
Disappointing. It's so disappointing. Yeah, I just thought I'd bring, you know, so I think, like, as a woman, or as a female, I think, you know, just to have that, you know, mindset of, like, you know, we're all on the same, we are all in the same space. You know, I know there's different, like, you know, socioeconomic backgrounds, there's different races and all of that sort of stuff. But if you're not in a particular situation now, you will find yourself in that situation in the future. So I think that, you know, that's something to bear in mind. You know, while kind of bringing your own biases towards, you know, whether you should hire a mum, or, you know, whether you should hire an older person or a younger person, an older female or a younger female, and that sort of thing. So I think it's definitely one to bring to the table, I think, when we're thinking about these things.
Yeah, I think a lot of things you guys discussed, actually, you both discussed. And, you know, that I was thinking, obviously, Bal, you have two boys, you know, your house is full of men. And something coming up for me at the moment, imagine going back. What do you wish that people knew about women's rights?
in terms of women's rights, I think for me, it's like it should almost not be labelled, right? It should be human rights, right? It's not just like women's rights, it should be human rights. And what a shame we have to get to a point where women have to have their own rights to protect to themselves in whatever, however that shows up. And I do find it funny when we do have conversations, a bit like what your son said, Hina, like, when is it Boys' Day? And,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, even when we had Mother's Day, it's like, when's it Children's Day? Every day. You know, can we just have one day to ourselves, guys? Yeah, one day. So I think it is important. I think it is important. And we've come a long way. We've come a long way in terms of women's rights. But there's still tons more work to be done. And, you know, particularly where the world's a funny place now, you know, there's a lot of misogyny. People get influenced by a lot of the stuff they see on social media, and yeah, I think it's an interesting time. So it's really important that we still kind of, you know, defend the women's rights that we have.
And I think we need to applaud as well. A lot of things are happening in this regard. You know, if we go back like 10, 20 years, you know, we never used to think like this. You know, at least now a lot of things are happening in the workplace, in environments, in the community, in the society.
Mm.
Yeah, and if you think about, even if you think about women's leaders that we've had, Maggie Thatcher aside, but even her as an example, it's what a shame. Even when women get to be powerful, they almost act like the men. It's like, well, don't lose that feminine side of you, which is a great quality to have. And so I think I think that's interesting when that shows up as well. And yeah, look, we have women in quite prominent positions nowadays. Um, and I'm going to bring this up, might be controversial. And in Saudi, only until recently, women were allowed to drive, and you think that's mad, And I'm sure there are places in the world where some women are just not allowed to do stuff that we probably take for granted. So that's I find that a bit bizarre. But I tell you what on International Women's Day, and because it's International Women's Day, what the one thing that it did remind me of was when there was a farmers' protest in the Punjab. There was an image of women that were actually supporting their men. Because obviously, if they were farmers, it's their household, it's protecting all that. And I thought that was such a powerful image. So we're standing shoulder to shoulder with men, not quite still there, but long way to go.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the last episode with Jay and with Des and Mai. At the end, I mentioned Ardhana Rishwa from Lord Shiva's one form. And every one of us, we have feminism and feminine side and the men's side, right? And both. So it is, as humans, we are part of both. We are built from both. That actually signifies that both forms are in one form. So we do sometimes show. I know men, they do show a lot of feminine side of themselves as well, a lot of time. So it's kind of this is a way of saying like how we can basically celebrate in a way that it still comes out like we are celebrating a human, right? It's not man, it's not woman, it's a human we are celebrating. And then we don't want to show that it's only men or it's only woman. What do you think, Tina? I know you're thinking something.
I just love listening to you. It's like, yeah, it's a funny one because you want to as a female you want to celebrate being a female, and back to kids, like when my son asked, isn't there a man's day or a boy's day, I didn't want to shut him down, and the reason for that was because he is in an all-female household. um he's 6 years old. He doesn't necessarily understand all of the dynamics in the world around him, especially at home, because there's three females. So I don't want to completely shut him down because I want him to celebrate being a boy and then being a man. And so it is all about how do we bring our best selves to kind of any given situation, and that that's what it's about. And identifying what those things are that are stopping us from being ourselves. And for some people it may not be, it's not about gender as such, is it? You could, and in my world, it's not just male and female. Yeah, there's people identify themselves in other ways as well. So there are people who are non-binary, for example, and they need to kind of feel like they can bring themselves, and they are themselves until they are judged, right, by the people
Yeah.
around them.
Yeah.
And so there is all of those things to consider, and it's a challenge. It's a daily challenge, and I can imagine for a man, even bringing his feminine side or even his masculine side across can be challenging, right? And we're talking about the same thing here. So, which is essentially why you're saying,
Yeah.
it's not about being male or female, it's just about being yourself. But essentially, that's what I guess, back to kind of women, they, and what Bal, what you're saying in terms of, how people feel they need to be when they're in leadership, you know, are they bringing them their true selves, and then is that manifesting in the wrong way because they're unable to do that because there's a certain perception of how women need to be if they are in leadership. Yeah, that's a big space to try and change, I believe, don't you?
Yeah.
It's a big one.
But at least I think we need to celebrate that. At least we are talking about it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, we are accepting it. We start talking about these things now rather than before, right? And then this is probably in my understanding, this is probably the first step, right? We need to bring everything at the
Mm,
forefront, all the challenges at the forefront. Talk about this.
mm,
Unless if we want to keep it inside us, we don't want to keep the judgments we've been given. End of the day, it's all about judgments, right? Hina, I know you mentioned people who class themselves non-binary. We need to respect. We need to understand.
mm,
We don't need to judge them. No one needs to
mm,
judge them. It's their right how they feel. Everyone has their right how they feel.
mm-hmm.
So yeah. So moving on, I want to see some proudest moments in your life. I want to hear them, right? I know my listeners as well. They would like to hear. What are your proudest moments? I want to start with you, Bal, first, please. What do you think? What is your proudest moment?
I So the example that came to me was I had to think about this one because and it was like I totally forgot this has happened. By the way, that's how bad my memory. Blame the menopause. Blame the menopause. Um, Actually, when and this goes back to having that fighting spirit, right? And I'm a Sikh, right? So naturally, I'm a warrior. So I've got that Sikh spirit comes through. It was actually, I just don't think how many years ago. It might have been like 12, 13 years ago now. And it was my cousin who she has a few special needs. So it's my mussie's daughter, so my mum's sister's daughter, got a few special needs. So she settled in this country, and she got married in India, and somebody just basically married her to get a passport, which is such a tragic story anyway. Anyway, this fella came over, they had a baby, so he got his passport, and they had a baby boy, Harvey, and he wanted to take full custody of the child. And bless her, my auntie and my cousin, they were just at their wits' ends, didn't know what to do. Anyway, cut a long story short, we ended up going to court, and they couldn't afford a lawyer or a solicitor. So me and my uncle decided to fight the cause. And after endless, just trying to think how long it went on for, probably about best part of a year. Ended up going to court,
Wow.
and my cousin got full custody, and obviously the dad's still on the scene, and he's all mutual now. And Harvey now, he must be 15 now. And I think, wow, you know what? When I look back at that, I thought, freaking heck, that is probably one of his proudest moments. That I helped somebody who was in real vulnerable situation. Yeah, that's probably one of my proudest moments. I've got probably a few others, but that was an absolute standout for me.
Thank you, Bal. What about you, Hina?
That's really good. Um, I would say, rather than um, like talk about a specific moment, I would say one of my proudest things is, the community that Resh and I created, when we opened up Chapati Club, which was a restaurant, and it still is, but we don't have a physical space anymore. We do pop-ups, but we had it for about 7 years, and I think my proudest moment throughout that, where we created a community, and we created a space where people could come and people could be themselves, um, and you just be, and just kind of open up, areas for, for gay people to come, for mums, local mums to come, for parents, for single people, and just the kind of vibe that we created and the stories that we heard throughout our time. And then even recently, I had someone come up to me and say, look, with everything that you did, it helped me kind of address who I was. And I came out to my parents, and I was able to make it happen. And just hearing those sorts of like inspiring stories where you just kind of sit there and I'm just just doing my thing, like trying to like do some fun stuff here. But like that has to be one of the most proudest pieces in my life, where we've had so many stories. We've had parents come in with Asian like young children, like we're talking like 12, 13, who have come out as as bi or gay, and they brought them to the restaurant, and it was really meaningful. And they were able to meet us and realize, like, look, we're just normal, we're just living our lives. And so those kind of moments have been super, super special. And from what was hey, let's open a restaurant and have some fun and great, there's still so many stories that are coming out of it, and they're so meaningful. And it does feel great, and it does make you feel proud. And yeah, so I'd have to say that, definitely.
Thank you very much, both of you. Yeah, very inspiring to hear those. And Hina, tell me something. Something occurred to me again just now. Obviously, all these the rewards or celebrations you have had in your professional career as well, both of you actually, and where you are, this testament to your willpower, your leadership, your compassion. What advice would you give a young woman today?
Who's going first? Me?
Yeah, anyone can go first. You can go, Hina. Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? Every single person says this. Every single woman says this, but it's so bloody true. Stop apologizing. Stop apologizing is the first thing that comes to me, because I still hear it all the time, and it's such an obvious answer, and everyone always says it. But I find myself doing it. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Can I just interrupt? Or do you mind if I say something? And I would say stop apologizing, and realize your worth at a young age, because it will help you as you're older,
Cool.
as you become older.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think the women, or the I would say like the next generation, they're pretty confident already, which is amazing to see. It's like, wow, I wish I had that level of confidence when I first started out on my career 30 years ago now. And I found when I started, I diluted a lot of myself to try and fit in. So I shortened my name. I you just kind of dilute everything about you. You kind of, whether that's your race, you're kind of a bit embarrassed of where you live. I live in Slough. It's kind of all of that, and it's like, why did I do that? And I would never do that now. I would never do that now. So my advice would be to younger women: just be yourselves, and don't dilute any part of you. Certainly not to fit in. But that was because I probably went through a bit of a not quite knowing where I belonged in this world, navigating through being
Yeah.
British and Asian and all that kind of stuff. And so that would be my biggest bit of advice to women starting.
Thank you. Great wisdom from both of you. Before we finish, I want to ask something as leaders in today's world, especially women leaders. How do you think we can improve the workplace for women?
How long have we got, Rohit?
yeah,
Oh,
Where do we start?
just
Oh,
before we close, have you got another hour?
just
Oh.
probably just one sentence. What do you think? Yeah, in short form.
I think we need to support other women. Let's women support women. That's kind of that's the least we can do. Let's be cheerleaders. And really, if you and if you're in a position of power and privilege, and you are a woman, hey, reach out that hand to women who are not in that position. And if you've got that platform, use that platform. That would be my thing. There's so much work to be done in this space, for sure.
I 100% agree. There's so many gaps to fill. From flexible working hours, like real, we've had a massive return to work, which is return to the office, shall we say, from working from home, hybrid working, everybody back to the office. It would be really good to see the data on the real people suffering there. I will put all my money on that is going to be mainly women and mums and that sort of thing. So when we're thinking about changing business strategies with statements like let's get back to the office, really understand who that's going to affect. Sometimes the cynic in me knows that the companies know who it's going to affect. And so there's a lot of work to do. So people might be coming into work being all like, lovely, it's International Women's Day, this is amazing, but some of the big changes that I see in organizations, they're not helping women. And as women, as eyes, we need to go to work and challenge that and raise awareness as to exactly going to be affected with these big organizational changes, because we're saying one thing, we're celebrating, we're cutting cakes and things like that for International Women's Day, but the other hand is taking away any kind of flexibility or freedom that women have to really show up and be their true selves, and that's what we're talking about here, whether you're a man, woman, it doesn't matter. There's systems in place in organizations that need to be looked at from every angle to make sure that we are actually bringing the best of every individual.
No, thank you.
I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, please.
For me, it's about
Yeah.
less talking, more action. Let's just see the evidence. You talk about representation, women, equal pay, etc. Just do it. Less talking. Just do it and show us the evidence, and then we can have that reason to believe, right, that things are moving in the right direction.
100%.
Yeah, great insight. And Bal and Heena, it's been lovely talking to you today. It's been amazing to. Sorry, say again.
We can talk forever.
We can
probably do
another. We can carry on talking.
Yeah, we can probably do another episode, not on International Women's Day, as a normal, human being, how we can make it better, And I like, what you just raise awareness, and it's important to raise awareness, in this day and age, how you feel. It's okay to express your feelings. It's okay to acknowledge your emotions as well and seek support, like I mentioned yesterday as well. I think if I put it yesterday, because it's very important to feel and show your emotions. Never leave it inside you. Talk to someone, seek support, and acknowledge it. So with this, I would like to thank you both again for coming into this space and talking to me on International Women's Day. And hopefully we can do another episode soon.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. So
sounds
everyone,
great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Heena. So before we finish, I just want to say a big thanks you to Abhyuday Coaching Circle. They are a supporter for this podcast. Please join if you're looking for any coaching training, coaching skills. Please look at their website. They do amazing trainings for coaches for ICF level 1 and level 2 and level 3 as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day. Stay safe. Take care and enjoy the sunshine. Bye-bye.